I will not tell a lie, completely hungover, but this brunch isn't gonna make itself. Let's get started. We're making fresh rolls today from my favorite book. Yep, you guessed it, the Eat Like a Gilmore book. So make sure you pay attention to all the steps I show you today because I'm gonna show you how to make this without any yeast. I'll be using brown rice, which takes way longer, so make sure you get the proper rice, you guys. First, we prep things. Now that I finished heating up my pancakes, I'm gonna go ahead and set them aside in a stack and cut them in half. Once I'm done doing that, I go ahead and start layering it in my 9x13 pan. So I move on to my egg mixture, and I know that the recipe calls for heavy cream, but I use half and half since that's what I had in my fridge, and you'll still get the same result. Once you're done whisking your ingredients together, you're going to go ahead and pour it over your pancakes. Now take your time doing this because your pan is going to flood a little, but you're just going to let your pancakes soak up that egg mixture. And then you're going to put it in the freezer for about 3.5 to 4 hours. So to make up for the lack of yeast, I use half baking soda, half lime juice to get the same effect yeast would give me. So the recipe calls for 2 1/4, so you want to do 1/8 of each of those ingredients. So you're going to go ahead and take 1.5 cups of milk and 1 egg into a saucepan and lightly whisk over low-medium heat. Now you should use a candy thermometer for this, but what I did was I went ahead and touched my cheek and the mixture at the same time and made sure that the mixture was a little bit, if not 10 degrees warmer than my skin. Once you have a good temperature, you go ahead and dump in your fake yeast or real yeast, but don't worry if it doesn't froth up, just keep going. You're going to add 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and then you're going to add 4 cups of flour, a little bit at a time, and add your wet ingredients. Well, at least I do it a little bit at a time because I wanted to sift the butter really good into the flour. And then once it's nicely sifted, I go ahead and dump in the rest of the flour and just mix it up until I get a nice dough ball. Once you have your dough ball, you're going to go ahead and flour your counter surface. Now the fun part, go ahead and flour up your hands and knead the dough for 3 to 4 minutes. And if you feel that you get a little stickiness from the dough, that's okay. Just flour up your hands again and keep going. Once you're done doing that, you go ahead, put it in a bowl and put a clean cloth over it and let it sit for an hour and a half. So I go ahead and work on my strudel, and I do replace the pecans for oats in this particular recipe. And the thing about strudel is you want it to kind of come together but be apart. So I go ahead with my fork first, and then I use my hands, and I'm going to show you how it kind of comes together but also comes apart as well. Then I start cutting up my onions and garlic and mushrooms for my risotto and my pea and garlic dip. Now, time to cook. So I go ahead, splash some olive oil and saute my garlic and my onions first. Once they're nicely sauteed, I go ahead and add in my mushrooms and saute them as well. Then I go ahead and add my rice to the mixture. And then I take a swig. Oh, no, I add the wine to the mixture. And then you're gonna go ahead and also add your broth. Now, because I used the wrong rice, it took me way longer and I had to add way more water and broth. But with the right rice, it won't take that long. Now that that's been sitting for an hour and a half, I'm gonna go ahead and roll it out and square it up. Once it's nice and rectangular-ish, I'm gonna go ahead and take my pizza cutter and cut my dough. Then I go ahead, round them into a ball, put them in my pan, and put them in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes. I start on my pea and garlic dip while my risotto and my rolls are cooking. So I put all my peas in the food processor and I tried to add all my other ingredients from the recipe into the food processor, but my food processor is pretty tiny. So my first and probably only attempt to do this went to a quick fail. As you can see, there's nothing turning. So I dumped it all out into a measuring cup and just went ahead and stirred in the rest. And I added salt, and that was done. Once enough time passed, you can go ahead and add your strudel and then go ahead and put your dessert in the oven. So random fact about our brunch cocktail today. So this drink was inspired by one of the courses that they served as a palate cleanser on the Titanic called the Punch Romaine. So I'm going to put my ice in because I'm going to let it dissolve, and then I measured out my simple syrup and my lemon juice for 2 drinks. So it's going to be 1 ounce of each of those, and then I have 2 egg whites. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 2 ounces of orange juice, 2 ounces of rum, and then 2 ounces of white wine. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it a shake. Now I shake it to the point where I don't hear the ice cube in the tin anymore. Then I go ahead and I'm going to pour it over ice. Then I'm going to top it off with 3 to 4 ounces of champagne, of course extra dry, guys. I might as well use the egg white to top it off as well. And there you have it, the Punch Romaine. Final touch. Let's add that maple syrup on top of our cinnamon strudel pancake bake. Oh my lord, look at that spread. Oh, yo, like this dip with this bread is everything. I'm lit. You got wine, you got rum, you got champagne.
Yeah.
It's a lot in there. It's a real deadly combo.
If I was in the Titanic too, I probably would on the ship drinking this, right?
That's real. I know, morbid but true. I wouldn't mind going down with this. Be like, you know what, bottoms down. Luckily for us, it's bottoms up. See you next week.